What if your high blood pressure isn't because you're broken, but because your body's thermostat has forgotten how to read the room? Japan's oldest doctor, Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, lived past 100 and practiced until his final days. He believed aging was a rhythm, not a disease. Today you'll discover why most seniors lose control of their pressure after 60, and what Dr. Hinohara did every morning to stay balanced, naturally. One of his tools? A humble clove of garlic. After 60, blood pressure often creeps up, quietly but persistently. You eat well, take your pills, even cut the salt. So, why does the top number still rise? The truth is, aging brings invisible shifts inside your arteries, hormones, and even your sleep. And without daily balance, pressure builds, like steam in a kettle. But Dr. Hinohara's patients found relief through ancient routines, not aggressive treatments. Today, you'll discover those same habits, gentle, natural, and often forgotten in the West. Let's begin where most doctors don't look, inside your blood vessels. 1. The hidden thermostat problem. Why pressure rises after 60. After 60, your blood vessels begin to change, quietly, without warning. They lose their flexibility, not all at once, but gradually, like garden hoses left in the sun. They stiffen, lose their stretch, and resist flow. And the heart, faithful as ever, works harder to push blood through those narrow paths. The result? That top number on your blood pressure reading, the systolic, begins to rise. But here's what most people never hear. It's not just your arteries stiffening. Your body's internal pressure thermostat, called the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, or RAAS, also begins to misfire. When it's working properly, this system adjusts your pressure the way a thermostat adjusts room temperature. Too cold? It raises the heat. Too hot? It dials things down. But after 60, the signal gets fuzzy. The thermostat thinks your body is always cold, so it keeps turning up the pressure, even when you're already under strain. One major Japanese study, called the JATOS trial, 2008, followed over 4,400 older adults between 65 and 85. The researchers discovered that standard aggressive treatments weren't helping everyone. In fact, some people did better with gentle, individualized approaches, especially those whose systems had lost their ability to self-regulate. Dr. Hinohara understood this long before the data arrived. He would say, "The body is not a machine to be forced. It is a rhythm to be harmonized." That's why his first prescription, to almost every patient, was simple movement. Not to burn calories, but to remind the vessels how to breathe again. Start with what he called respectful motion. 10 minutes of quiet walking in the morning sun. Even 5, if that's what your legs allow. This isn't about exercise. It's about waking up your inner rhythm. And when you finish, try what Dr. Hinohara did daily. Place your hand on your chest, breathe, and say, "Thank you, I'm still here." It may not show up on your pressure monitor right away, but inside, you've started tuning the thermostat again. 2. Myth versus fact. Should seniors always lower BP below 130? Let's pause here. Because there's a belief that quietly causes more harm than help, especially after 60. Myth. The lower your blood pressure, the better, no matter your age. Fact. That's not always true, and in seniors it can be dangerously misleading. Let me explain. We are often told to push our numbers below 130/80 at any cost, but for older adults, especially over 70, those numbers don't tell the whole story. In the JATOS study we mentioned earlier, researchers looked at seniors with systolic readings around 140/160. Half the group received aggressive treatment to drive it lower. The other half followed a more relaxed, personalized plan. And here's what they found. The aggressively treated group didn't live longer, but they did experience more dizziness, fatigue, and a higher risk of falls. Why? Because when your arteries stiffen with age, lowering pressure too much can cause blood flow to drop below functional levels, especially in the brain, kidneys, and legs. Imagine trying to push water through a narrow hose. With barely any pressure, you don't get better flow, you get a trickle. and your organs, especially your brain, start to suffer. Dr. Hinohara once said, "Balance is the goal, not control. The body is not a number." That's why he didn't chase low numbers. He looked at function. Are you steady on your feet? Are you sleeping through the night? Are your hands and feet warm? These were signs of rhythm, not just lab results. So, what should you do? Start the conversation with your doctor. Ask not just, how low should I go, but what number helps me feel clear, steady, and strong? Because your body isn't a machine, it's a garden, and some gardens bloom best with a little gentle pressure. 3. This breakfast spice helps melt the rust in your arteries. You've probably used garlic to flavor soups or roast potatoes, but what if I told you that same clove could help relax your blood vessels and lower pressure from the inside out? Let's look deeper. As we age, our arteries face something called oxidative stress, tiny chemical reactions that damage the vessel walls, like rust corroding the inside of a pipe. This rust doesn't just sit still. It triggers inflammation, narrowing the space even more, making it harder for blood to pass through. And the heart? It keeps pushing harder, raising your pressure with every beat. But garlic quietly intervenes. When you crush a fresh garlic clove and let it rest for 10 minutes, it forms allicin, a natural compound that's been shown to reduce inflammation, relax stiff blood vessels, and improve blood flow, especially in older adults. In one Japanese clinical trial, older participants who took 300 milligrams of dried garlic homogenate daily saw significant drops in blood pressure within 8 to 12 weeks, without medication side effects. Now, here's the real-world version. Rosa, 71, had always used garlic in her cooking, but after reading about its medicinal form, she made a shift. Each morning, she crushed 1 to 2 cloves, let them rest, then added them to her eggs or miso soup. She told me, "Garlic used to be just flavor. Now, it's part of my morning medicine. And here's the best part. You don't need to buy fancy pills, just real garlic, crushed, rested, then eaten with breakfast. Start with 1 clove a day. Let it sit 10 minutes before cooking or eating. This gives time for the allicin to activate. Use it in soups, stir-fries, or even smashed on toast with olive oil. You might not feel a change overnight, but inside, you're melting the rust and letting your arteries breathe again." Have you ever used garlic for your health or just for flavor? Tell us in the comments. Your habit might inspire someone watching right now. 4. Your gut bacteria may be the missing key to lower blood pressure. There's a quiet ally in your body that rarely gets the credit it deserves. Your gut bacteria, the trillions of tiny organisms living inside your digestive tract, don't just help with digestion. They send signals that influence everything from your mood to your blood pressure. It's called the gut-heart axis. And after 60, this connection starts to fray. Here's what the science tells us. In healthy individuals, certain beneficial bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids, natural compounds that help dilate blood vessels and reduce inflammation. But as we age, those bacteria begin to disappear, especially if we've taken antibiotics, eaten fewer fibers, or stopped consuming fermented foods. It's like losing the gardeners from your internal landscape. And when they're gone, the weeds take over, inflammation grows, and pressure builds. A Japanese microbiome study in 2013 found that seniors with the lowest blood pressure had higher levels of gut bacteria diversity, and particularly those strains linked to fermented soybean consumption. That's right, fermented soy, things like natto and miso, feed the right bacteria and restore the microbial balance your heart depends on. Let me introduce you to Frank, 74. He'd tried everything, meds, meditation, even magnesium. Nothing worked for long. Then he watched a documentary on Japanese centenarians. He started making a warm bowl of miso soup every morning with seaweed and tofu. After 4 weeks, his blood pressure stabilized. His doctor didn't increase his meds for the first time in 2 years. "Once I added miso to my day," Frank said, "my gut calmed down, and my blood pressure followed." Here's what you can do. Add fermented foods, miso soup, tempeh, or natto, 3 to 4 times a week. If you're new to natto, try mixing it with mustard or kimchi to balance the taste. And be sure to include fiber, things like sweet potato, seaweed, or barley, to keep your gardeners well fed. Because sometimes, the key to blood pressure isn't in your veins, it's in your belly. 5. The nighttime trick to relax. Your blood pressure without pills. If your blood pressure tends to spike at night, or early in the morning, you're not imagining it. It's called non-dipping hypertension, a pattern where your pressure stays high while you sleep, or even climbs before dawn. And it often happens when two of your body's quietest chemicals, melatonin and GABA, begin to fade with age. Think of melatonin as your internal dimmer switch. As the sun sets, it signals your body to power down, slowing the heart, relaxing the vessels, and shifting you into repair mode. But here's the problem. After 60, melatonin production drops sharply. And if you're inside most of the day, or staring at bright screens at night, that decline gets worse. Your dimmer switch malfunctions. The lights stay bright, and your blood pressure never gets the message to rest. One NIH review from 2014 found that restoring natural melatonin rhythms improved nighttime blood pressure in older adults, especially those with sleep disruption. The fix, not pills, routine, light, and rhythm. Here's a simple 3-step evening plan based on Dr. Hinohara's own habits. Morning light. Within 30 minutes of waking, spend 15 to 20 minutes in natural sunlight. This resets your internal clock. Fixed wind down. Choose a set time each night, say 9:30, to unplug, stretch, or drink herbal tea. Sleep sanctuary. Make your bedroom cool, dark, and screen-free after 9:45. Use dim lighting and breathe deeply for 2 minutes before bed. Dr. Hinohara often said, "The body heals in rhythm, not in rush." He didn't see sleep as recovery. He saw it as a return to balance, to breath, to stillness. So tonight, let your pressure drop the way it was designed to, not forced down, but gently surrendered, like a wave returning to shore. 6. Why Dr. Hinohara walked every morning and never retired from life. There's one habit Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara never stopped. Even at 100 years old, he walked, not fast, not far, but daily, with purpose. Modern science now explains why this ancient habit works so well. When you move, even gently, your muscles release compounds that activate nitric oxide, a molecule that helps dilate blood vessels, improve blood flow, and lower systemic pressure. Think of it like this. Your arteries are like bamboo. When moved gently and often, they stay supple. But when stiffened by stillness, they crack under pressure. A large Japanese centenarian cohort found that light daily movement was the single most common trait among participants over 100. Not gyms, not treadmills, just consistent joyful motion, often in gardens, open-air markets, or temple paths. Dr. Hinohara believed movement wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. He often said, "Don't slow down to preserve life. Move to stay in it." One of his favorite exercises? Carrying his own briefcase to work, even in his 90s. And if no work was scheduled, he would walk the hallways, stopping to greet staff, read charts, or quietly breathe near a window. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do something. Every day. A 15-minute walk around your block, stretching while the kettle warms. Tai Chi in your living room with the curtains open. You're not chasing youth. You're feeding circulation. You're telling your body, "I still belong in motion." And inside your arteries, your bamboo pipes, the signal is heard. The flow begins again. Dr. Hinohara never believed in chasing numbers. He believed in feeding rhythm, listening to the body's quieter signals, and finding balance not through force, but through gentle devotion. A clove of garlic, a walk at sunrise, a bowl of miso, a deep breath before bed. None of these may seem powerful on their own, but woven together, they become a rhythm, and rhythm is what restores pressure from within. So, today I ask you gently, which habit spoke to you most? The morning walk? The garlic? The idea of sleeping like the body wants to sleep? Leave a comment below. even just a word. Your reflection could be the reason someone else keeps going. And if today's message gave you peace, or made you feel a little more seen, consider subscribing. This channel brings you timeless healing, drawn from long-lived lives and grounded in the science of aging well. Until next time, keep moving gently, keep eating with care, and never stop believing that balance is still possible, no matter your age.